Hello, and welcome to another Rangroo's unit of the week. And today we're taking a look at the IS-2 model of 1944. Okay, so originally my idea was to just, the standard historical coverage of the IS-2, but let's be real, if you're watching these videos, you probably know about the IS-2. And making this video, I just realized there's this really old IS-2 meme I really want to share with you guys. Let's go over IS-2, the greatest tank of World War II. The meme originates from 2006 on the Tripwire interactive forums. There's a post made by the 7th Guards Tank Division titled IS-2 Greatest Tank of World War II. The context is this is for the original Red Orchestra game. The post goes as follows. IS-2 is the best tank of World War II. It is much better and thicker armor in the Panther in reality, unlike in RO where the armor is about the same. IS-2 can penetrate Panther's frontal armor plate from 1200 meters virtually every time, while the Panther may penetrate the IS-2 frontal armor plate from only 600 to 700 meters. That's huge tactical advantage for IS-2. An IS-2 may be able to penetrate a Tiger I frontal armor plate from 1500 plus meters, and its slightly worse optics would not make much difference at all, especially for skilled gunner. IS optic allow for engagement of targets up to 3,000 yards plus effectively, while the Tiger prospects are very poor and unlikely at range versus IS-2. IS-2 armor is much better than Tiger I, which is 100mm max front hole and turret armor thickness at 0 degrees, while IS-2 is 132mm slope front hole and roll slope 162mm turret armor. IS-2 versus Tiger II are about equal at all ranges, except IS-2 can get turrets on target much quicker given CQB advantage, and Tiger II is extremely inefficient to produce 1 Tiger, 2 or 5 IS-2. That's just plain stupid, and mere 400 plus for build, and Tiger II can't go 400 yards without breaking down or getting stuck in mud. Heh. IS-2 is clear winner. If you don't believe, check out the site russianbattlefield.ru. Heavy tanks section. And pretty much from this point onwards, there had to be a lot of back and forth using historical sources and examples to either prove or disprove that the IS-2 was in fact the greatest tank of World War II. A lot of people didn't agree with 7th Guards Tank Division, and he was quite vocal about his beliefs, which ended up getting him banned from the Tripwire forum. However, a cult following would emerge after his banning, and well, people started to realize that in fact 7th Guards Tank Division was right. He spoke the truth. And that truly, when you really think about it, deep down inside, the IS-2 is the greatest tank of World War II. In-game, the IS-2 model of 1944 is a 220-point heavy tank available to the 3rd Guard Tank Corps and the 84th and 97th Guards Infantry Divisions. It is 3 weapons. The first weapon is the big one, the 122mm gun with 12 AP shots and 16 high explosive shots. It's a pretty powerful gun, as you can tell. 200mm of penetration. The damage means it pretty much just kill anything it does penetrate. Long range, but not the greatest accuracy, and the rate of fire is also pretty slow. But if it does hit something, it will kill it, and most likely penetrate it too. Unless it's the most heaviest of German tanks at long range. The high explosive shells are also not to be trifled with 3 high explosive damage, a 2km range, and pretty good blast and suppression range as well. It's a pretty deadly all-rounder gun, albeit of course slow to fire. You also have a Dushkum machine gun and 2 regular DT machine guns, giving you a good amount of anti-infantry fire support. Down to miscellaneous stats, you have a rather average 180mm of frontal armor, strong top armor, 110mm at side, and 100mm at back. You go 35 kilometers off-road, 43 kilometers on the road, you have bad stealth, and very low optics. Oh, in battle, the IS-2 model of 1944 is the biggest, scariest, meanest tank available to the Soviet Union, and for good reason. You have a very powerful gun, as well as a very thick frontal armor. Really, the only tank which is going to be a danger to you is, of course, the German King Tiger, but even then, it's not yet unfair of a matchup. The King Tiger, statistically, top trump style, is more likely going to win, slightly better rate of fire, slightly better guns, slightly better accuracy, slightly better armor, but we know how RNGs can go in Steel Division, and sometimes you can just get quite lucky. However, the majority of the time, you're not fighting one-on-one against King Tigers, unless you're playing a 10v10 of course. The IS-2 is mostly going to be used as, well, just long-range fire support, and it is very good. You can zone out open areas of the map quite easily, and even if the enemy does bring, let's say, regular Tigers or Panthers, you're most likely going to win out that fight with the IS-2 at maximum range. The real downside is, like I said, the slow rate of fire on the gun, and also just the limited ammunition. The IS-2 does require a little bit more care compared to some of the German super heavy counterpart. I know I'm using it as it is, because you're most likely going to run out of ammo quite quickly, and especially with super heavy tanks like this, if you're not an idiot and losing them in the first 5 minutes to a Panzerschreck, you're most likely going to run out of ammo. And even though in 1v1 super heavy tanks aren't exactly in meta, the IS-2 in general is actually a very worthwhile super heavy tank to get, because it's just cheap enough where it is somewhat affordable in a 1v1, especially compared to the King Tigers. And you gotta realize, the IS-2's threat isn't actually the amount of rounds it can put down range, it's really just its presence. It's a block-in unit. You put it in an open field, the enemy's going to have to invest in cluster bombers, artillery, super heavy anti-tanks such as big Pak-43s. It's just going to slow down your opponent and forces them to go up the escalation ladder, so to speak, even if they have those tools available to them to counter said super heavy tank. You just need to keep it alive, you don't have to be all that aggressive with it. This is definitely a very worthwhile unit to get in all 3 divisions this tank is available in. Mainly just due to the fact you don't exactly have a whole lot of variety of other tanks to pick from. You might as well bring in at least one card of these super heavy tanks to act as a blocking unit to, you know, really throw a wrench in the enemy plans by bringing in the big guns. And also you have decent availability. You got 1 in A phase, 2 in B phase, and then 4 of them in C phase. Overall, the IS-2 model of 1944 is definitely a good tank to be bringing up when you can, even in those 1v1 matches, because wherever this tank is deployed, it's going to force your opponent to rethink a plan in that sector. Yes, it's not going to be winning against King Tigers, but those are pretty rare, and most of the time, let's be real here, you're just using this tank as a very heavily armoured assault gun, and just as long as you keep it at range, you don't get too cocky with it, you bring in the necessary anti-aircraft coverage, the IS-2 can be a very effective brick wall against any of, well, Steiner's counterattacks. And I'm going to leave it off at that. This has been another Rangaroo's Unit of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as usual, please just take it easy.